Welcome back, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. It's been a fantastic weekend of football, college football, NFL. We got the wild card weekend finishing up. Got Divisional Round coming up this week. That's what today's show is, Divisional Round Preview. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here by Brett Hamilton.
Hello.
And as I mentioned, college football, roll tide, baby. Roll tide.
Yeah, if you're into college football, you got a good game last night.
That's all you got to say?
Yeah, it was a good game.
All right, fair enough, yeah. Obviously, I'm more ecstatic than most people, being a Bama fan, and I'm just going to leave it at roll tide. I'm not going to ramble, because I can sit here and ramble for the next 2 or 3 hours.
Which, trust me, I would leave.
This is your house, and you still leave.
I would walk out the door.
I'll post up here then. But anyway, Divisional Round Preview. Before we get into that, obviously last week it was just myself with the wild card preview, and I completely forgot to give our Super Bowl picks. And so, Super Bowl picks right off the bat. Who do you got in the Super Bowl, and who you got winning?
This is a tough one. I'm interested to see what you have for this one. I have the Saints in the Super Bowl.
All right.
I also have the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Now the winner is I honestly believe that the Saints can beat the Patriots. But I honestly don't know that they will.
At least that's what you want to happen. I know that.
Yes. So everything in me says Saints.
Yeah. I got the Saints as well. I got them over the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I think the Steelers are they're going to be pretty pissed off after the whole situation a few weeks ago where touchdown, not a touchdown thing.
Yeah.
I think Antonio Brown's going to be fine. I think they're going to really if they don't win it this time, they got all the pieces together at the right time. They got Martavis Bryant back. Yeah. They got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's proven himself as a young rookie. Yeah. And Mike Tomlin, honestly, I think he should be on the hot seat if they don't win. And Big Ben, this might be his last rodeo.
It could be
if they go all the way.
Yep.
Anyway, and before I get into each matchup, we're going to break those down here in a second. I do want to talk about a little bit of a coaching carousel going on right now because a ton of job openings in the NFL. Obviously, we could break this down there's obviously offensive coordinator jobs, defensive coordinator jobs, GM positions being opened. But I'm just going to talk about head coaching jobs right now. Just a few that have opened up and that have been filled in the past week. So, first one, Bruce Arians has retired, so Cardinals are going to be on the lookout for a new coach. Lions have fired Jim Caldwell. Colts have fired Chuck Pagano. And Ben McAdoo is out in New York for the Giants. So, a lot of opportunities for new guys to step into prominent roles. We have had two signings, or two slots filled for the coaching positions. Bears have hired Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, I believe. Nagy, Nagy.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone pronounce it yet, but Matt Nagy, after they fired John Fox, so the Bears, they have their new guy. Maybe they can get something going with Mitch Trubisky and actually get the Bears back on the right track because they have been falling off the cliff as of late.
They have to get some wide receivers in the off season.
Very, very true. And then, last but not least, the big one, John Gruden is officially back with the Oakland Raiders, signing a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
10 years. So he's here for the long run.
He's committed.
Yeah, and honestly, this is one that's perfect because Gruden's been with the Raiders before.
Yeah.
He loves Derek Carr, absolutely adores the guy, and hopefully Derek Carr can handle John Gruden's coaching style, his play calling, his intense QB training.
Yeah.
If he can, then it should be a great fit for John Gruden. Yep. Obviously, I feel like there's going to be a lot of big changes. Obviously, one, the Raiders aren't going to be in Oakland for much longer. They're going to be in Vegas. which maybe that's why Gruden got such of a big contract, because he's probably going to buy a home in Vegas and Oakland right now. He's got to have the money to do that. So we'll see how the John Gruden, or the new John Gruden era in Oakland / Vegas will.
I hope he's still as intense as ever.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt he will be. It's gonna be a fun ride down there.
Yeah.
Okay, divisional matchups, and then we'll give you some, I guess, daily fantasy, maybe some playoff challenge starts if you're still playing fantasy into the playoffs. When we go through the matchups, I don't know if we'll hit that much on fantasy, but we'll definitely talk about it at the end. So, first matchup, Falcons versus the Eagles. Falcons hitting their stride at the right time, and they travel up to Philadelphia to take on Nick Foles, the Nick Foles-led Eagles, who are actually underdogs as a number 1 seed for the first time in history.
Yeah, I saw that. Never has a number 1 seed been an underdog in the very first playoff game.
Yeah, I mean
that's crazy. How can you be an underdog? I mean, that's just emphasizes the kind of doubt that people have in Nick Foles. Can he really carry the torch that Carson Wentz did?
Well, he's definitely not. I don't think he's going to be able to, really. I'm just going to flat out say that. I mean, Nick Foles has looked good in the past, and he's had glimpses of greatness, but I wouldn't say greatness, but being formidable. And I don't think it's going to happen here. Falcons are looking a lot better than they were early on in the season. I think the Super Bowl slump is really... They're breaking out of that. Their defense is clicking now. Even Matt Ryan is starting to break out of his slump that he was going through. Yeah. So I think the Falcons are... I mean, they're
definitely on the right track at the right time.
Oh, yeah. And not to mention, they knocked off the Rams last week, and Rams look like...
Held the number 1 scoring offense in the league to 13 points. That's an impressive defensive effort.
Yeah, and obviously defense wins championships. So if they're gonna ride that out, you gotta stick with the defense.
If that's the real deal, then that's scary.
Yeah, on the Falcons side of the ball, we kind of know what to expect, mainly from fantasy, a fantasy perspective. We know Julio's gonna go out and do what he does. We know Devonta Freeman probably going to get a pretty heavy workload. Maybe Tevin Coleman gets a little bit active in this game. Matt Ryan, he's moving up, just his fantasy value, because it was pitiful all year pretty much. But Matt Ryan, not a bad option.
Yep.
Eagles side of the ball, mainly, can Nick Foles lead the Eagles to a playoff win? I already told you my take. I don't think he can.
Yeah. I don't believe so.
I think
it's sad for the Eagles because they have such an amazing team.
Oh yeah, and
the rest of the team is still good.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean they could still pull this one off.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. Honestly, I think both
the Eagles' defense is really good.
Yeah, and the Falcons' defense, like I said, hitting their stride at the right time. Yeah. Both defenses are going to have to step up big in this game. Who you got winning this?
I've got the Falcons.
I got the Falcons as well. Titans versus Patriots. First AFC matchup. Titans coming off that incredible comeback win against Kansas City.
Yeah, wow.
With Mariota throwing passes to himself, which, he's no Chester Markle. If anyone knows that name. But look it up. But
how would that be scored in fantasy? Was it just a run in, like a rushing touchdown?
I don't see why it shouldn't count as a passing and a receiving touchdown.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
And the yardage too.
I was like, would he get yards, a rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown in one play?
He should. That's what I think. So what? I guess if you broke it down, it'd be 6 for the receiving touchdown, 4 for the passing. So that's 10 points, and then...
How much is rushing touchdown?
4.
Oh.
Or 6, sorry.
Oh, 6. Okay.
Yeah, so that's 10 right there, and then the yardage, say it was 5 yards, so it'd be about 11 points, or 10.52 or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But around 10 points, that's what I think it should be scored. I didn't really look and see what they actually scored it at on any platform, but... If I were running the show, that's definitely how I'd score it. And that's how it showed up in the box score, so
it did, yeah.
Why not score it that way? But anyway, back to this game, Titans-Patriots. It's out of the frying pan, into the fire for Tennessee, traveling up to Foxborough. Patriots are 13.5-point favorites in this one, so I think that's the biggest spread of the weekend. I'll just go ahead and flat out and say it. Is there any way the Titans pull out a win here?
No. The Titans are the worst team in the playoffs right now, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree with that.
It's impressive that they did squeak into the playoffs.
I mean, and last week
they did squeak.
Yeah, and last week was impressive. We finally saw actually Mariota play football again. I think he was leading the league in like turnovers or close to it.
Which that was good to see, but again, no. I mean, I like to say that there's hope, but if there is, it's just a flicker.
Yeah, I do think if there's any chance at all, Derrick Henry, obviously we don't know, DeMarco might be back, but Derrick Henry specifically has to be the focal point of this offense. If they want to get anywhere in these playoffs, if they want to get past the Patriots, which obviously if they get past the Patriots, then anything's possible from here on out. But if they want to get past the Patriots, Derrick Henry is going to have the game of his life. He's going to have to be the focal point of the offense. The offensive line is going to have to be just outstanding because obviously the Titans' defense, they're not stopping Brady.
No.
Their defense is bad to begin with, not to mention going up against one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah.
So just everything has to click for the Titans to even have a chance up in Foxborough.
Yep, that's a slim chance.
Yep. That being said, I got the Patriots winning.
I do have the Patriots.
All right, Jaguars and Steelers. Big question for the Jags. Can Blake Bortles be somewhat formidable? Because this game is definitely not going to be won without some sort of a passing game from the Jaguars. So, do you think he has what it takes to possibly take down the Steelers?
I think he has a chance, yeah. I think he has a way better chance of beating the Steelers than Mariota does beating the Patriots.
And I think that says more about his supporting cast because obviously they have...
He's been able to get it done, with all the weapons that he has. He's got Marquise Lee's been playing really well this season.
And Bortles really isn't turning the ball over like we saw in the past.
That's going to be key.
Their defense is incredible.
Well,
I still think it's the best defense in football.
It all comes down to the defense, and they're going to have a time with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, though.
Yeah, that's going to be the struggle. Obviously, the big question, Antonio Brown coming back from the calf injury, he says he's 100%. I saw him running some routes or some video of him running some routes, and he looked completely fine. No hiccups at all, going full speed. So I don't expect Antonio Brown to be hindered whatsoever. So the big question is, can the Jags defense control the Steelers offense? Because if they can't do that, then this game is over before it even starts.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I think they've got the weapons to stop the Steelers' big playmakers, but I don't know. I mean, Antonio Brown's just dumb.
It's just I think they can control the game for a little bit. But I think it's going to get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah,
like you can't,
especially if they can't get their offense going and the defense has to play more snaps than they'd like to. It's going to get bad.
Yeah, and not to mention one, you got to cover Antonio, you got to cover Le'Veon, you got Martavis as a deep threat, and you got basically Antonio Brown Jr. and Juju Smith-Schuster, and you're not going to. There's no way you're going to be able to cover all that for 60 minutes.
No,
I got the Steelers.
I've got the Steelers.
I like the home I like the home teams in the AFC right now. Just they're all like the Patriots and Steelers. It's the up north teams. It's gonna be cold weather.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah, that's true.
That situation there. Saints and Vikings last matchup.
This is my favorite matchup.
Yes, this is definitely my favorite. I'm gonna be watching this one like a hawk. Saints can attack on offense through the air or through the ground. But this Vikings defense is going to be a tough matchup.
On paper, they've been the best defense, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah, two great units banging heads, going head to head. I can't really predict what the Saints are going to do on offense right out the gate. I think all year they want to establish a run game with Kamara and Ingram because that's what they've ridden into these playoffs and what they've really been using aside from last week. But even so, I think they're going to try to establish that. It's probably going to be pretty tough against the Vikings, but even if that doesn't work, they got Drew Brees, who's top 3 quarterbacks in the league, going out there. And that's like their backup plan. If one of those doesn't work, one of those units doesn't work, the run game or Drew Brees doesn't work, they can just switch to the other one. And
that's very true.
Like they have, I think, one of the most, even probably a more dynamic offense than the Steelers do at the moment. It's just maybe not the weapons at the receiver position, but
no,
I really think the Saints have what it takes to make the run into the Super Bowl.
Yep.
On the Vikings side of the ball, can Case Keenum provide enough offense for the Vikings? I think that's the biggest question because obviously the defense, that's going to be that's what's been the big part of the Vikings team this year. So can the offense, and we've seen the Saints step up on defense this year as well. Cameron Jordan's been a freak of nature. Marshawn Lattimore has been he's easily Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
But can Case Keenum provide enough offense for the Vikings? What do you think?
I think he can. I think he'll get enough done to stay in the game. I definitely don't think that. I don't think that the Saints can stop the offense certainly every drive, but it's gonna be tough, and I think the Saints are just gonna be able to score more points.
Yeah, there's so many quarterbacks that we've already seen in the playoffs so far, but we have Keenum and we have Bortles and we have Mariota and Foles, and I think they're all guys that can keep the team in the game by not turning the ball over. And Keenum's been one of the best at that, just not turning the ball over. They've all been like Alex Smith type players. Yeah. But this is the playoffs, and at some point in one of these games, you're going to have to make a big play. Yeah. And I really don't think Keenum. I like Keenum I like Keenum more than Bortles. I like Keenum more than Mariota. Yeah. I like Keenum more than Foles in these playoff matchups. Certainly. But I still don't think he's going to have the ability to make that big play when needed.
That's true.
So I got the Saints winning this one.
Well, since I have the Saints winning the Super Bowl, I am going Saints.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys could have predicted our Saints and Patriots matchups. But anyway, moving on into I said we were going to talk fantasy, so let's talk fantasy. We'll give you some, or same as last week, some like DFS starts if you're playing daily fantasy, or if you're playing like NFL Perfect Challenge, where you pick players and there's really no budget. You just pick the players. But I guess we'll run through these. We'll give you basically what our lineups would be for like the Perfect Challenge, where there is no budget, and then we'll give you some like budget players here and there. Yeah. So, I think I talked about the format last week. The format goes 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. Obviously, in the Perfect Challenge, there's only 2 wide receivers instead of 3, but this is just like the main format that it's used, I believe, in FanDuel. So, you want to kick it off with a QB position?
Yeah. I'm going to go Tom Brady. I think the Titans have the worst defense out of all of these teams, and they're also playing a really good quarterback. So I feel like if fantasy points are going to be had at the QB position, good odds that Tom Brady's going to score some points in that game.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't really looked at the prices yet on FanDuel, so I assume he's probably going to be one of the more expensive ones. I had him as well. Yeah. But if you're looking for a cheaper option, Matt Ryan maybe. I think he's again, Falcons hitting their stride, and you're not going to be able to stop Julio Jones. You're just not. Running back position, we got 2 slots to fill. Give me one of your guys.
This kind of hinges on DeMarco Murray's status, but I was going to do Derrick Henry as a cheaper option.
I like that.
Especially if DeMarco Murray's not playing, which I
And especially if the Titans want to win.
Especially that. But he's played so well, and I feel like that's kind of a secret weapon that they have going. I really hope that they do lean on him, even if DeMarco Murray's healthy. Just
cut
stop.
ties,
just
man.
Stop.
It's time to release them and cut ties. I swear, it's hurting your team.
You have a good running back in Derrick Henry. Just go with him.
Yeah. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell is going to be a popular option, and in these probably more expensive. Granted, probably the most expensive back.
Oh yeah.
I do want to say Dion Lewis. Dion Lewis I like a lot in this one.
Yeah.
Titans defense, not too good. Their run defense, a little better than their pass defense.
Right.
But Dion Lewis is so dynamic, and they use him in the passing game as well. So I think Dion Lewis has a big game. And then Devonta Freeman, I think he's a safe play as well. Wide receivers, give me 2 names you want.
I don't know where he would be in the price range, but Adam Thielen I like. If the Vikings are going to have a passing attack, I think that Adam Thielen's going to be it. He's the best player.
Oh, yeah.
And they're playing a really good defense. I think he's the only one skilled enough to make enough big plays to provide fantasy value.
Yeah, and I assume Diggs is going to be facing Lattimore, most likely.
I would assume so, just based on where he plays. And, well, let's just go with it. Julio Jones.
Julio freaking Jones. That's a thing. You can't, all year, he's been, that everyone said he's been, a disappointment because he has the up and down weeks, and sometimes he, disappears, and, again, they don't pass to him in the red zone for some reason. But you can't stray away from the guy. He's a freak of nature.
He's still really, really good.
Obviously, my pick. If you're going to say Julio Jones, I got to say Antonio Brown, too.
Yeah, that was the other one I had written down.
Yeah. Julio, obviously a much easier matchup going up against... Eagles' pass defense has been good, but I think Julio's going to have his way with him. But Antonio Brown's probably going to be going up against Jalen Ramsey. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It might matter on a couple of plays, but overall, no.
No, and Antonio is going to have... Again, his way with Jalen.
Yep.
A few budget plays if you're looking for cheaper options. Keelan Cole, Jaguars wide receiver. I think he actually gets involved quite a bit. I think he has a good game. That mainly just relies on Blake Bortles' ability, however. So if you trust the Blake Bortles process there, then maybe Keelan Cole's a good option. Ted Ginn, I think the Saints are going to let him loose in these playoffs. We already saw it last week. He's the big play guy, and I've been liking Ted Ginn really all year. They didn't really use him that much in certain situations. Very up and down player, but Ted Ginn I think is a good option here. And then Juju Smith-Schuster. If there's any worry in Big Ben's mind, which I really don't think there is, that maybe he strays away from Antonio Brown a little bit. Cover with him being covered by Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster is a great second option. However, Jags have defenders all over the field. AJ Boye is one of the top 5.
It doesn't matter.
He's a top 5 corner as well. But I still like the Steelers receivers in this one.
Yep.
Tight end, who you got?
This would be I don't know. I don't know how they'll price in DFS for tight ends because there's not a whole lot of stars left.
I'll just tell you, I know Rob Gronkowski's he's gonna be probably a good $2,000 more than any other tight end.
Yeah.
But who are you thinking?
My budget would be Coby Fleener.
Kobe Fleener.
I like Coby Fleener in this game.
See, I like Josh Hill more than Fleener because I think he's getting a lot more snaps recently. He's a little bit bigger than Fleener, and I think he's gotten a touchdown in the past 2 weeks or 2 games the Saints have played.
I know he had one last week.
Because Fleener's always been the middle of the field guy. For the Saints, or at least, and I think they've kind of moved away from him now that they have Kamara doing his thing, Michael Thomas coming alive, Brandon Coleman even, they've been using him. And I think they use Josh Hill just more as a that goal line type of guy. But
goal line, for sure. I just think that with this matchup against a really good Vikings defense, I feel like they're gonna have to switch some things up a little bit. Kobe Fleener hasn't been targeted a lot in the past, but for this matchup, I think he has some success.
Yeah, and definitely both him and Hill going to be cheap options. Definitely, definitely.
If you're definitely budget.
Yeah, but
if you want to spend all your money on these playmakers like Antonio Brown and Julio Jones, go with a cheap option.
Yeah, and I do want to say, because I mentioned Rob Gronkowski, he kind of like last week, which I spoke on about Travis Kelce. If you want to pick him as the focal point of your fantasy or your daily fantasy roster, and then build around that, I have no problem with it, because I think Gronk has a very big game. He really, the past couple playoffs, he hasn't really been a part of because he's been hurt. Yeah. So I think Gronk really gets involved in this one, and I mean, why would he not? If he's on the field, he's going to be involved. He's going to be expensive, granted, but
you will have to base your team on that.
Yeah, but I mean, Travis Kelce was expensive last week, and it worked out. He got a touchdown. And that was in the first quarter, basically, and then he got hurt. But Rob Gronkowski, no problem there. Kicker defense, we'll just go quick. I got Will Lutz. I really like.
Also have Will Lutz.
Yeah, I
think the Vikings defense is going to stop them multiple times, and so I think that they're going to kick multiple field goals. I just really like Will Lutz.
Yeah, I like one. I like Will Lutz. Two. The Saints love Will Lutz. They're more than willing to let him kick 50-yarders. Yeah. And third, it's going to be indoors in Minnesota, and Will Lutz indoors is just automatic.
Yeah. So for the sake of being different, I would go with Matt Bryant. I really like Matt Bryant. It's just automatic. He's so old, but it's automatic.
He's so old.
Have you seen him take his helmet off? He's got monk hair. It's almost white.
He is 100 years old, but granted, that's the only reason I'd rather have Will Lutz. Excuse me, is Matt Bryant might have to deal with the elements up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's true.
And that might be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah. Not for Matt Bryant.
Not for 100-year-old Matt Bryant. All right, defenses. Who you got?
I have got the Falcons. They just held the Rams to 13 points, highest scoring offense in the league, and it was just really impressive. They've been on the uptick on the defensive side, on both sides of the ball for a while now, and I think their defense is the real deal, and I think that their defense is better than Nick Foles.
Yeah, I got the Falcons as well. They're probably going to be one of the cheaper options.
Probably.
I haven't really looked yet, but Patriots against Titans, that also a good option, and Steelers versus Jags, I think, is a fun option as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is going to be our show for today, our divisional round show. We will be back next week. Sorry, I'm getting over a sickness and. My voice is all over the place.
Over there.
Yeah, we got to finish this before I die. But anyway, we'll be back next week. Again, we're probably only doing one show a week from here on out. Next week, we'll be back for the conference championship games preview. We are going to wait till the end of the season, the playoffs and Super Bowl and wait until they're over to give you our fantasy, complete regular season fantasy review. We'll give you the award show, everything. We'll talk fantasy MVP, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, that's it for today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the 423 Football. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like. Leave your comments and reviews. Thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast. Peace out and roll Tide.